Hey, hey, it's the second part of Tchaikovsky, page 2. I just sent you shortly ago the first part where I just talked through the first half of the page on page 2 of the Tchaikovsky, Overture 1812. And then my little one woke up, so I had to stop. So here we go. Now I'm going to do the playing demonstration and play along. And I'll do the play along at a slow tempo. So if you're just working on the fingerings, writing them in, figuring out what it all means, playing this at the fast speed isn't going to work. So we got to do it slow. And then hopefully while we do that, over time, you'll start to get comfortable with the fingerings and then we can go faster. So must practice with a metronome. There's just no getting around it because the rhythm in the first half of page 2, which is section D, the Allegro Guisto, or Guisto, however you say that. Allegro Guisto, section D. And we're going to go through the first line of E. That whole section rhythmically is really challenging. It's loud. A lot of the notes are accented. They're coming in between rests and random feeling sort of spots where you just have note, note, rest, note, rest, 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 note. And it's really loud and accented and you do not want to land in the wrong place. So if you're not really counting this rhythm, it's going to be difficult. So we've got to count it out. And we've got to begin by counting in the 8th note, which I mentioned previous in the other video. So we're going to do this right now at 140. I'm going to play it for you, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. And then we'll talk about the first line of E. Then I'm going to do a separate video for the section E, because that's a whole video in itself. Okay, so both sections are really intense. All right. So remember to work on your E flat minor scale. So an E flat minor scale with this key, you would have the 6 flats. E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat. Okay, so that's just one octave. So my 1 and 2 touch right there. So everything is flat. Pretty much everything except for your 2 on the D string. But you know, you're not just playing on the D and the A string in this piece. You're all over the place. So we could sort of play this key starting over on the G string. So let's say I started on A flat, but I'm going to use this key. So I'd have A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat. Just crazy amounts of flats. F, G flat, A flat, B flat. So I'm tilting in a weird way so that you can see my fingers better, but that sort of messes up my bow, so excuse the bow. But so you're probably looking more at my fingers for that. Now we could also do some notes in 3rd position, or even better in 4th position. So when we're in the key of E or E flat, whether it's major or minor, 4th position is often better than 3rd position for some reason. So just follow me on this. If we start in 1st position and you have your 1 on E flat, so let's say E flat, F, G flat, A flat, okay? If we then took this 1 and we put it on this E flat, which is just a half step higher than your regular 3rd position. So your 3rd position would be your first fingers on D here. But if we just went a half step higher, now you're in 4th position and your 1 is on E flat. It's just a half step higher. Now the fingering would be E flat, F, G flat, A flat. So it's identical to 1st position. Okay, so the fingering for this scale that we just did in 1st position If you went to second position, or I mean fourth position, the fingering would be absolutely identical for those same notes, except for they're just a little closer together because the higher up, my light just fell down. I have a new setup. Excuse me while I fix my light. And I'm not really great at it yet, so forgive me. Growing pains as I learn how to use my light and my new tripod or whatever it's called. Okay, so it's just that the fingers are closer together. So when we're in first position, you know, a whole step looks like this. But if you come to fourth position, a whole step is more like that. They're a little closer together. But other than that, it's kind of the same fingering. So let's see. So now I'm going to put my 1 where my 4 is. Okay, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat. When you're working with this many flats, for sure, using finger patterns can help you a lot because, you know, the finger pattern for that first string, just starting on the D string with your E flat right there, the finger pattern for that is not that crazy. We're really familiar with this finger pattern. So that's a whole step from 1 to 2, a half step from 2 to 3, they're touching, they're buddies, and then 4 is a whole step. Now, if we just moved up a half step and we put our 1 on regular E, we'd have E, F sharp, G, A. Okay, and this is like our original fingering that you may have started with on violin that we're super, super comfortable with. This is a very comfortable fingering. All we did was move all of our fingers back a half a step. So it kind of messes with our head a little bit. It's harder for our head to understand, but your hand understands this hand shape. We're very good at this hand shape, or you should be, because this is your basic, you know, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, all your first songs have this finger pattern. Now, the one over here where you have the C flat, 1 and 2 are touching, and then you have whole steps to 3 and 4. Same thing, if you just put your 1 on regular B, you'd have B, C natural, D, E. That's a comfortable fingering for us too. All we did was take that 2 that's touching 3 and make it touch 1. Okay? So if we slide that back and we start the 1 on the flat 1 area, then it's that fingering. Okay? So we either have this fingering or this fingering, and we can do those fingerings if we just don't think about it too hard. The trick is just to make sure your 1 is in the right place. So always checking to make sure that our 1 is, oh my goodness, my light's falling again. I do not want to start this over because I don't have time to redo it. Sorry, y'all. I'll figure this out as I go. Hopefully I'll get the hang of that. Yeah. Just checking your 1, because when we play with all these flats, we don't love it, right? I mean, we don't love it. So what happens is that, you know, as we're reaching for these 4s, we have to use a lot of 4s. We can't use a lot of opens. Our hand starts to sort of pull up and towards the 4, and the 1 kind of wants to go home. It wants to go back to where a normal 1 would be. So if that happens, if your 1 starts to slide up, all of your fingers are going to get higher, and suddenly you're going to be in a different key. And it's going to sound really yucky, and probably in rehearsal, especially in the beginning, it might sound a little yucky because the notes are out of tune. And so the intonation on this is going to be challenging for everyone. So do your best to check that. Put on that E flat drone. So let's see. E flat. So right now I'm on A. So I'm on E flat 4 or E flat 3 would also work. And just having that on while you play your scale can help your intonation. So if my 1 is out of tune, it's going to sound weird with this pitch. Same thing over here. It should sound harmonious together. If I'm a little off, doesn't sound good. So just checking it. We'll turn that off. So just checking it often throughout your play to make sure that it's still where it should be will help your other fingers be more in tune throughout the piece. And the more you check it, the more it'll stay there for you. So I'm always checking my first finger every chance I get while I'm playing music throughout the page, every line or so. If I play something like open 1, I check it so fast that you wouldn't even know that I was doing it, but it becomes a habit. And if you do that, you're always checking to make sure your 1 is in the right place, you'll be more in tune. Just because, you know, the 1 is what sets everything. If your 1 isn't in the right place, they're all going to be wrong. Okay? So, crash course on playing lots of flats. Let's do, okay, so we're going to break this piece down at 140, okay? Okay, so I've already counted through this with you, so now I'm just going to play it, and I really hope my light doesn't fall while I'm playing it. Okay, we're going to go through the first line of E, so up through measure 119 is where I'm going to stop. And then we'll talk about it a little bit, okay? I will say that it is forte. There's accents on a ton of notes. You want to try to do the accents. Try to notice how I'm doing them. Now, this is really slow, way slower than it's going to be. So the way I'm playing it now might not be the way you would play it exactly with the bow when it's at full speed, but I'm going to keep it as close as possible. So you can take note of what I'm doing with my bow. Vibrato will be really good in here on certain notes. So here we go. And I'll try to count the rests in between as best I can while I'm playing. Okay. Okay, so I set my 1 before I begin. Ready? Ready, and 1. 1, 2, 1. Rest 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. Rest, rest. Rest 1 and 2 and rest 1 and 2 and a few bowings in there, but I wanted to just keep going. But the rhythm was right, and hopefully you could hear what it sort of sounds like. So in this video, I'm going to keep it like that, and then you can, maybe at the end I'll try it a little bit faster for you. And then maybe at another time we'll do even faster. Now let's talk about, we talked about a lot of this, but I do want to say something about the end going into section E, because I didn't talk about that. Okay, so over here at this point, this is where it changes after you're doing all this sort of climbing, bum 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 bum, da dee dum, ti ti ti, ti ti ta, ti ti ta. So I can't find my pitch. Hold on. This is a hard song to sing, by the way. Ti ti ta, ti ti ta. I'm a really big fan of sing it. If you can sing it, you can play it. Okay? If you can't sing it, a lot of times you can't play it. It means you can't hear it, right? And this one's really hard to sing though. But singing the rhythm, even if you're just generally sort of following the arc of the notes, it helps to hear it. So we have B flat, C flat, ti ti ta, ti 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 ta, and then we shift up. Our second finger is going to go on E flat, ti ti ta, from E flat to G flat, ti ti ta. Okay, so we'll talk about the fingering there, but I just want you to realize that the rhythm is the same. Ti ti ta, sorry, ti ti ta, ti ti ta, and then it's tika tika tika. It comes all the way down. Okay, now let's talk about the coming down part. Okay, 2 2 2 4. The top note is a 4, and then da da tika 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 ti. Here, what I'm suggesting is that you don't shift. I completely changed this fingering than what you guys had written in there. And what I'm suggesting is that you actually stay in position and you don't come down until here. You're going to come down to third position. So in other words, these notes are going to be on the A string. And I tried it a number of ways. There are other options, but I found this to be it flows very well. And I'll show you why. And then here coming to third position and then coming down to first position. And that actually feels the most awkward of all of it. But I mean, look at this run. It's going to feel awkward somewhere. So, you know, do the best you can with it. Make sure you check out the fingerings and really take time to figure out what's flat, what's not. I put a lot of markings to show you where half steps are. Okay, so let me demonstrate it for you. All right. So you have ti ti ta, ti ti ta. Okay, so once you get up here, it starts up bow. This is that same fingering, that same finger pattern that we did Twinkle with. Now the only difference is we're going to make the 1. You've got a D natural there. Da, da. You're going to make it touch the 2 for just a second, and then he's going to come back. Okay, and then da, dee, da, dee, da, 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 dee, da, da, da. On the A string, the finger pattern is like this. So you have little whole steps between 1, 2, 3, and then 3 and 4 touch. They're very close. Da, dee, da, 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 dee, da. So this is a really familiar pattern for us too. Okay, so check that out. And then you're going to come down to third. And then all the way down to first, but you're going to have to come to C flat with your second finger, so you're really going all the way down. It's far, but you know, give it a try. It's going to be a little awkward. So let's see if I can play it for you again. So it starts down bow in your part. Okay, I'm really trying to show you that. That's very difficult to see. Let me do it again. I can't see and look at this at the same time. Okay. Those three fingers touch. So I would look at this section, this run of notes is in three parts. You have the part that is up high, the part up here, coming down, and then your third position part, which is very short, and then the first position part. So one more time. Okay, something like that. That's taking it very slow. All right, so work on those fingers, work on the notes. I hope that that helps, and that you can play along with this. I'll do it one more time for you. I'll play through for you. At 140, let's make this one 150. Okay, so if you get 140 and you're doing good, then try it at 145 or 150. Starting in the second measure of D, I'll give you a count on 1. Ready? T, 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 ready? Ready, and 1. 1, 2, 1. Press 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. Press 1, 2, 3. Press 1, 2, 3, 4. Press, press. Press 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, that was 150. I did get the shifts right this time and the bowings for you. So I hope this helps, guys. Happy practicing. I'll work on section E for you.